3 semi-trucks and 6 vehicles were involved in a crash on the I-75 Archer Road overpass. Now, one of the issues that Bush says most Americans are facing is defeating ISIS. Now, during the town hall, he laid out a plan that would defeat ISIS using strong leadership skills. On her 25th birthday, Stacy's family came to visit her grave at Forest Meadows Cemetery. There, they let go 25 pink and purple balloons to symbolize her birth. Behind me, the scene looks chaotic, but in reality, it's just a drill with nearly 600 military personnel training in the event of a natural disaster or homeland security threat. New season, new coach, same rivalry, but unfortunately, pretty similar results. About 4,000 people came out to the University of Florida campus today to support Sanders at his rally. Now, this rally was a last-minute one with only about a day's notice. Other religions like Judaism have also been experiencing similar problems. The Smith sisters say that Calvin jumped out of this window, then made his way around the home until he ended up here where he wandered into the street and the accident happened. And on Sunday, the NFL increased security at their football games. So many pieces of the puzzle missing, especially who the victim was. 15 years later, her killer still can't even be determined. Open areas like Turlington Plaza are potential targets for shooters. Now, the video says you should run, hide, or fight in the event of a shooting, but areas such as this one don't offer places to seek shelter. Students, parents, and teachers gathered at this corner this morning to celebrate Walk to School Day. Each of the flags here represent military personnel who lost their lives after the 9/11 attacks. Now, while the Gators are back-to-back national champions, the last 2 years they have lost to LSU. College students are being warned to watch what they eat when they go to Halloween parties this weekend because bowls of candy might actually have something else in them. Yes, the vehicle has lights, but they're amber-colored lights and there is no siren. City officials have noted that a tie-in might help with getting people to go along with the optional smoking ban. Gator says he is looking for rental property in other Levy County districts so that next year he can qualify to run for the county commission.
First at 5, from the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
Actually, when the one tractor came across, the tractor trailer came across, another tractor trailer hit it, and just basically caused a chain reaction crash from that point.
A fatal crash shut down all lanes north and southbound on I-75 in Gainesville yesterday. The accident killed one person and left 4 others injured, and some lanes were still closed until this morning. That's our top story this Thursday, November 19th. I'm James Torres.
And I'm Connor Ingalls, filling in for Jenna Sands. Thanks for joining us. The injured were taken to UF Health Shands and North Florida Regional Medical Center. WUFT's Darling Hill reports.
At about 5:30 p.m. yesterday, the major crash caused all lanes on I-75 near Archer Road to be blocked and caused drivers to be held up in traffic for hours. Traffic had to be diverted at the Newberry-Wilson Road exits, and drivers trying to get onto I-75 were forced to turn around and use other roads, such as US 441.
Northbound tractor trailer came out of the northbound lane and crossed over into the median, going through the guardrail into the southbound lane, and caused a chain reaction collision. The crash also caused a diesel fuel leak. Some witnesses reported hearing what they thought was an explosion. There was not an explosion, but there was a fire related to the accident, which was extinguished by the fire department.
3 semi-trucks and 6 vehicles were involved in a crash on the I-75 Archer Road overpass. Tonight, 1 person is left dead and 4 others are injured. The fatality was confirmed to be a semi-truck driver. The only eyewitness at the scene was the semi-truck driver himself. Robert Stone, a driver for D. Mosley Trucking, says when he came across the crash, he immediately slowed down and pulled over to help. Stone declined to go on camera, saying what he saw happen is his greatest fear, but he acted because he says he couldn't sit around and let anyone die. Darling Hill, WUFT News.
All lanes of the interstate were back open early this morning.
You're watching WUFT TV News.
Welcome back. Some little kids do it every day, some almost never, and some only on this day once a year. We're talking about walking to school, and we know one Gainesville school that now celebrates International Walk to School Day.
That's right. Walk to School Day brings a number of lessons for young school kids, and as WUFT's Darling Hill reports, it helps them appreciate concepts like staying active, staying safe, and even going green.
Students at Littlewood Elementary School got up earlier than usual today. The reason? To walk to school. Students were dropped off at either the nearby middle school or temple, then walk as a group with other students and teachers, plus a few moms and dads who decided to join in.
My mom holds my hand, and sometimes we get to walk on the road and the cars stop and they blow the whistles.
Littlewood has held a Walk to School Day event for 2 years now.
A lot of schools have these Walk to School Wednesdays, where every Wednesday, or at least one Wednesday a month, kids are encouraged to walk to school, and hopefully every day, but at least on those days.
Students, parents, and teachers gathered at this corner this morning to celebrate Walk to School Day. The importance of today was to teach kids about health, safety, and keeping the environment clean.
Walk to school because it's bad that cars pollute the earth.
Kids that walk today learned walking helps the heart and should be done more often.
I tell them how important it is to keep the body pumping, the blood flowing, because if you don't, you're going to get, inactive. You got to start gaining a little weight.
Students were also taught the importance of walking in groups.
Make them aware of the dangers, make sure that they walk in groups. As long as those preparations are made, I think the kids will be pretty good.
I love it. I love walking to school, and I think it's a great exercise. And we got little flashlights.
International Walk to School Day is held on the first Wednesday of October. Schools in more than 40 countries participate on this day.
She was the world to me. She really was. And I remember every detail of the night it happened.
Joan Morehouse's heart still breaks every time she thinks of her granddaughter, Stacy.
And I thank God that he sent her to my house that night, because I had a chance. We always said, "I love you," when we leave. And I stood in the door and watched her back out the driveway, light her cigarette, and take off down the street, and I stood there and waved at her.
Stacy Brown was only 20 years old when she was killed, a bright young girl with a full life ahead of her. But that all changed on the night of January 4th, 2010.
It was just the wrong time, the wrong place, and the wrong crowd.
Stacy was at an apartment in the Pine Ridge neighborhood with friends. The apartment was leased to Manuel Manny Shaw, a drug dealer. Around 8 p.m., there was a knock on the door. After a few seconds, 2 men broke into the apartment. Suspect 2 went into the kitchen where Shaw was. Suspect 1, who was armed, stayed in the living room where Stacy and the others were at the time. After fighting, Shaw pulled a broken gun on Suspect 2. They fought over the weapon, and as Suspect 2 ran out of the kitchen, Suspect 1 fired.
I thought Stacy was probably trying to go down, but the police seemed to think she was trying to run. I just don't think she would have.
Officials say the 2 suspects fled north from the apartment, farther into the Pine Ridge area.
We believe they got out of a car initially, which was a white Honda. We believe when they fled after the crime, they got in that same car. Not sure it's a Honda, but it's described as a white 4-door car.
Smith now works for the state attorney's office, but at the time of the case had been an investigator for the Gainesville Police Department. When Smith left GPD in 2013, Detective Martin Honeycutt took over as GPD's cold case detective. But to this day, Honeycutt still continues to work with Smith on several of the department's unsolved cases.
He spoke with the state attorney, Mr. Bill Cervone, and asked if he would be given some opportunities to work on the cases with me.
For Stacy's case, even with the unique partnership at hand, they have not been able to figure out who the suspects were, but they do have descriptions of them. Officials say the shooter was a 6-foot, light-skinned black male, while his partner was a shorter, dark-skinned male who may have had bad teeth. The shooter was in his late 20s or early 30s, while his partner is thought to be in his mid-30s.
I just wish they'd get it solved, and I wouldn't say I want the guy that killed her to be tried for, I want him to be tried for murder. I wouldn't want the death penalty because, again, even though he put the bullet through her, Shaw is the one that caused it to happen.
After the shooting, Shaw served 1 year and a week in prison for being a convicted felon and possessing a firearm. He is currently on probation. In 2010, out of 15 home invasions in Gainesville, 2 ended in shootings. But even as the years go by, her family never forgets what an amazing woman she was. On her 25th birthday, Stacy's family came to visit her grave at Forest Meadow Cemetery. There they let go 25 pink and purple balloons to symbolize her birth. Today, Stacy would have been 26 years old. Had the shooting never happened, she would have began her studies at Santa Fe College the very next day.
Yeah, I would like to have seen how her life turned out. I just think she would have done really well in whatever she wanted to do.
Darling Hill, WUFT News.
First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
Parents and students of Columbia High School protested at last Friday's football game tailgate. We'll take a look at why they were upset and what might happen next.
Also, changes may be coming to Grace Marketplace regarding mental health care coverage and new positions. We'll tell you what the Gainesville City Commission is considering.
That's our top story tonight. Good evening. It's Monday, December 7th. I'm James Torres.
And I'm Darling Hill, in for Jenna Sands. Thanks for joining us. Grace Marketplace is asking local government to consider funding a social worker position to help the homeless.
And mental health care is of particular interest, and Leah Shields joins us now with more on the issue. Leah. A group of Columbia County residents took a stand this weekend against the school system's stance on the Confederate flag.
Protesters took their efforts to the city's high school football game to stand up for their right to fly the flag. UF forecaster Rebecca Kopelman is in the Weather Center. Rebecca, how cold is it going to get? Thank you, Rebecca. Well, Putnam County investigators are looking for a thief who stole a cash register. It happened at a Domino's Pizza in Crescent City. Investigators say last night a tall, thin black man who was wearing a mask jumped over the counter and stole the cash register. When an employee tried walking towards him, the robber pulled out a handgun and then ran. No one was injured. Welcome back. Today, the Florida Department of Transportation kicked off the first of a series of I-75 meetings.
On Mondays and Fridays, we like to save a little time for entertainment news.
Laura Barrera joins us now.
Well, the Kennedy Center Honors has redefined and reinvented the way this nation celebrates its artists. Big fan of his first name being Wild. Do you guys have any baby name suggestions?
I was hoping on Easton to go with Northwest, but hey.
I would have gone with John. John, Stephen, James, any of those would have worked, right?
James West, I like it, right? Yeah. Thank you, Laura.
We'll be back tomorrow at 5, but your Florida news is always on at WUFT.org.
And here on WUFT TV, BBC World News is up next, and the PBS NewsHour is coming up at 7 o'clock. Have a good night.